accurate, how to hit a 3-inch target, how to hit center mass, how to shoot. That's going to be important, but that's probably what's not going to keep you alive. What's going to keep you alive is the fight cycle. And that starts with the perceiving. You're walking down the street, you're looking around, you have to see what's going on around you. So, in fact, Natt was in Colombia. I was, earlier this week, I was in Iraq. Guess what we were doing when we were walking around?
Scanning.
Yeah, we're scanning. I don't know what we were scanning for, but we were perceiving what's going on around us. We're scanning and looking around because you don't want to make yourself a target. That's the bottom line. So the most important thing is be aware of what's around you. So having a gun, having good skills, but missing the guy standing right next to you with the gun behind the back of your head right here, that's not very smart. You know, a bank robbery, how many people come to a bank robbery usually? Does usually one person come up to rob the bank? Or is it 2 or 3, 4? There's probably one up here, one out in the car, and one standing in line right behind you. So you've got to be aware of what's going on around you.
Most of us, and I'll say something about that scanning, most of the sheep, their world is a bubble that's about this big, you know. They're not paying attention, they're texting or whatever, or walking down the street, they're digging into their purse or whatever. They're not paying attention to what's going on around them, and they're missing the 2 guys that have been following them down the street, want to grab the purse and run, you know. You see this, you make a corner or you go into a shop, you come back out and they're standing around talking, and then all of a sudden you see them following you. That might be a clue that, you know, you're the target. If you're scanning, like I was telling John yesterday, when I was in Colombia this last week, I was walking down the street, you know, I'm just looking at all the sides and everything, but occasionally I'd, you know, kind of glance behind me, and as if I missed something, I was, you know, looking at all the sides and kind of, but looking behind me just occasionally, you know, like, I don't look like a target because I saw that guy that's been following me, you know, and I just walking around, you know, but he knows that I saw him. And if I see him again and again, then I'm getting a clue. There was a guy with me, and the sun was shining in, and I was standing close to the edge of the street, but I positioned myself because I had a backpack on. Sometimes people unzip it, take something and run, you know. And I stood with the sun behind me because my shadow was here. I could see if somebody was standing behind me. You know, people, you know, just accidentally bump into you sometimes, so it doesn't mean somebody's getting in my backpack. But if I see a shadow standing there and I feel something on my backpack, you know, scanning and being aware, you're not in a bubble.
So more specifically, as we move down when we shoot, we're going to be at pistol ready. We're going to be scanning, sights on, slack up, and then slow squeeze, surprise, bang. You make the hit, and at that point you reset the trigger, and I'm keeping my sights on the target that I just shot. So I'm scanning the target to see if the threat has stopped, and that may take X number of shots. But if it hasn't stopped, and I think as Brian mentioned earlier, the last thing I want to do is go bang, and then bring my gun down and go, I wonder how that worked. And then he takes his turn, and I don't want to have to start from ground zero and have to come all the way back up and back out, finger on the trigger, side of line, squeeze, and shoot again. I've got my sights on, my slack up, and I'm ready to take the next shot. That's the so-su, sights on, slack up. So I've shot once, and I'm ready for the next one. If need be, I make another hit. And after the second shot, what do you do then? You do it again. You do it as many times as
He asked you.
as necessary, that he asked, exactly right. So then, once the threat is stopped, then you, let's see, you continue all the way, so-su's the last part, and then you can drop the weapon, look at his hands, and scan him, finger index, because now I'm off the target, but I'm still in a position where if I had to, I could come right back up.
Even if you were still on target, but there's no longer the perception to fire, you don't have the need to shoot, so your finger's off.
Right. So I'm scanning now. I've scanned to make sure the threat stopped. Now, even though I think the threat stopped, I'm scanning his hands to make sure, is there anything in his hands that can cause me deadly bodily injury or death?
Simply
He can hurt me
put,
with.
the work, since this is not just target class, this is a fight class, the fight starts and ends with scan. Okay, as soon as we leave the house every day, what are we doing? Scanning, paying attention. All right? Yes, we're going to text, but don't text all day and rear end somebody or get rear ended by a baseball bat in the back of the head. Pay attention. All right? When you perceive the problem, present to it at maximum speed. All right? Red means imminent, right? The color codes. And hit. And then get ready to hit again and again and again and again until the bad guy is no longer asking you to shoot him because he has surrendered or he's dead or somewhere in between. And then, and only then, get your finger off the trigger and scan for the next problem. Okay? Everybody got that?
And I promise you by the end of tomorrow, you will get it.
But here's the deal. Tomorrow, you know, you're going to be so focused on that shot that as soon as the gun goes off, the finger's going to fly off the trigger, and you're going to pull the gun down and you go, did I hit it? Where's my bullet? All right? And then we'll be all over you about it because you didn't get second sight. So we're going, second sight! Second sight! That means you should still have your finger on the trigger, your sights are still on the target, and you're still ready to hit them again. And we'll hold second sight 2 seconds. 2 seconds. As a general rule. Why? Because if I was going to shake John's hand, and all of a sudden I smacked him across the face real hard, he would go, what the? That's called tactical surprise. And tactical surprise lasts, on average, 2 seconds before something happens next, whatever that is. Can of wool pass gets open, whatever the case is.